everybody. Thanks for joining me as we take a look at your weekend forecast for February 20th through the 22nd. And this is normally a forecast I just do for patrons on the Wednesday forecast for the weekend. However, because there's snow coming up on Friday, this is going to go out to everybody. So patrons will get this, but so will everybody else, because we're going to talk about snow that's coming our way on Friday. So let's take a look at what's going on across the country. And you can see we have a pretty well-developed system to our west, and kind of a drawn-out warm front and kind of warm air trying to surge north into cold air, and that's providing some lift today. Most of this is falling south of Vermont. We'll take a look at radar. A little bit of it might sneak up into here, particularly the southern portions of Bennington and Windham counties might get a little light snow or a few sprinkles this afternoon, but most of it is basically amounting to very little over southern Vermont. A little south of us, a little bit more in the way of rain and a little bit more snow. However, another piece of energy here out west is going to basically, this system, this low is basically cut off, and as the kind of front is dragged away from it, it's going to continue to spin as kind of an upper level low, and this system is going to basically do a repeat of what's happened here and start to kind of push north, except this time it's going to continue to push north after a little bit of cool air settles in tomorrow. And that's going to allow for us to see snow as the warm front moves its way through for all areas here in southern Vermont. Maybe a little bit of mixing. Right now I'm thinking it's mostly snow, but it's kind of borderline. There could be a little sleet mixed in, maybe even a touch of freezing drizzle towards the end, which is going to hold the snowfall totals down a little bit. But we could see probably plowable snow for a lot of us on Friday. So that's kind of we're going to have all the details about that in this forecast. Let's take a look at radar as we see it now. This radar, I've talked about this before. If you've watched my forecast with radar before, this radar is good in that it shows very well where things are happening. It also overshows sometimes. So there's a lot of this as we zoom in. It's going to look at southern Vermont where it looks like precipitation is falling. It's not actually falling, but one thing you can definitely notice is there's not a lot of forward movement with the front line of this precipitation. Basically, we're moving moisture, but this is about as far as things are going to get. And we have moved warmer air in across New England, but you're going to see nothing like the warm air that's been pushed into our west, where we are in full-on spring mode for a large portion of kind of the central part of the United States, kind of the Mississippi River Valley, all the way up to Chicago. Definitely feeling the warmth right now. We're warmer than we've been, but definitely not there. There's that radar, like I said. Certainly these yellows and the darker greens are making it to the ground. Most everything here is not. Right now it's saying it would be rain if it was falling, just where the echo returns. Likely anything that falls in southern Vermont today will mostly be a little bit of snow, but where it's real light, it might be a sprinkle or two. And there is a chance of a little bit of accumulation. I would say Bennington is like the best shot for that. Up into the hills on Route 9 would be the best shot, but we're talking maybe an inch. This has sometimes looked like it might be a little more impressive over the last couple of days, but mostly it has kind of trended into a very thin line that has mostly trended a little south of us over the last few days. So that's kind of what's going on there. Let's take a quick look at the upper level, and that really shows, here's your upper level low just to the west of the Great Lakes, which isn't really moving. You can kind of see it's kind of detaching itself. It's in the process of detaching itself from the overall flow, which is mostly to its south. And then we have this piece of energy that's just come on shore. For the first time all winter, we've been talking about a lot of rain and snow across California. Still, the Rockies not doing amazing, but a little bit of snow even for them out of this. And this system is going to move, and it's basically going to do a repeat of this, except it's going to kind of drag more, it's going to kind of get a little further through, which is going to allow for a little bit more snow to happen on Friday. There's then going to be a third system that comes and tries to build a coastal storm. There will be a coastal storm. Right now it looks out to sea. I'm pretty confident in saying that would be like Sunday night into Monday. And right now, I'm not concerned really that we'll see any snow in southern Vermont from that. If you're in Cape Cod, then maybe, but we're going to have to wait and see. Still a little early to be locked in on that, but definitely right now that looks like an out to sea kind of situation. So let's take a quick look at the temperatures that I talked about, still plenty of cold around. Canada has actually kind of we have cooled back off up near the North Pole, back into the lots of minus 30s. Not unusual. Again, we're still in mid-February. But what is a little unusual is how we have really moved some warm air across a lot of the south central parts of the country, all the way up, like I said, 60, I think that's 66, maybe 68 even in Chicago. So quite warm. And you can see across the Northeast, we have warmed, and the cold air even north of us has retreated, but we have not warmed. We have not gotten into spring-like temperatures. That's basically where that line is the line where the line of precipitation is. That's the line between 20s and 30s, a lot of 30s here, maybe even a couple of 40s in southern Vermont, and 50s and 60s, and even some 70s here across the Southeast. So yeah, the warmer temperatures close by, they're not going to get here. So we're not going to see any of that kind of warmth. Here's our Friday situation. So this is the North American model, kind of the mid-range North American model. From Friday at 11 a.m., as you can see, precipitation gets in here around noon, maybe a little bit before. And then it basically snows hardest in the afternoon and kind of gets out of here pretty quick. We may have a lingering flurries, but I think accumulating snow is done by about 2 a.m. on Saturday. And you can see definitely in this model run, when we do it again, you'll see that we do get a few pinks and a few purples, which is sleet or freezing rain. I would say sleet is the best chance, lower elevations. And I think towards the end of the storm, after most of the accumulating snow has actually happened, would be my guess. And so it kind of will shut off. And then eventually, as we start to develop more of a coastal low, after that, we'll turn anything that's left by Saturday morning as flurries back to actual flurries. I think most of the accumulation is done by then. We could still see like a dusting or an inch or something like that on Saturday. But I think most of the precipitation actually falls probably between like early afternoon, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon through about 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon is where we get the bulk of our precipitation. Where it could snow quite heavy for a little while. Travel will be kind of tough Friday afternoon. Friday morning is pretty good though. So let's take a quick look. Whoops, we're going backwards here. Let's take a look at those snowfall totals. And if I get out of the way here, you can see we have in the lighter kind of turquoisey color here, we've got 3 to 5 inches of snow in the Connecticut River Valley, down in the Bennington area. These are places where there's more sleet possible, and then a little shadowing due to some terrain west of Rutland. Basically, this is a place that often gets less snow. A lot of us, this is a 4 to 6 inch storm. Not huge, but definitely going to get the plows out for that. You're going to need to snow blow the driveway, things like that. For the higher elevations of the southern greens, we're looking at something like 5 to 8 inches of snow. 8's probably on the high end for the very highest elevations, but 5, 6, 7 inches of snow, not unusual to be seen in some of these towns. A lot of the ski areas will fall in that range. Certainly Stratton, Mount Snow, I would think Bromley would probably fit in that range. Magic will probably get somewhere in that 5 to 8 inches of snow. Okemo probably there too. Killington's probably, even though Killington's a little north of where I drew this, probably Killington is close to 5 to 8 inches of snow as well. So the ski areas have obviously been doing really well lately. We haven't melted much snow. It's been a little warmer the last few days, a little bit of melting at the lower elevations, but the ski areas have still pretty much been below freezing. Skiing is great. So if you're still here trying to ski next week or weekends going forward, we're headed in. We got deep snowpacks as we head towards March and spring skiing. So yeah, everything's good in that regard. So if you're wanting to get out and ski, now is definitely the time to do so. Let's take a quick look at the actual forecast. So that's Friday with the snow, a little bit of lighter snow overnight Friday. Most of the accumulation is actually done by Friday evening, but we could get another inch or two kind of as things continue on through the evening on Friday. Saturday, some leftover flurries. Again, not much to be too worried about. If you're traveling, just keep you have to just be aware that in a heavier, like in a little burst of snow, you might quickly cover the ground there. If you're if you're out there, if you're plowing roads and things like that, you'll probably have to be out salting still on Saturday, but not terrible. We clear out Saturday night and Sunday. We're just cloudy with that storm relatively close by. That's why cloudy overnight Sunday into Monday. That would be the time period, Sunday night into Monday, for any snow from the system that's out to sea. But I don't think that's going to happen. We'll have to keep a little bit of an eye on it. But right now, all the models basically take it far enough away that it's not a problem. There have been some model runs over the last week that have shown us getting something, but really, as we've gotten closer, everything has kind of pushed it out to sea. But it will be there, so we'll have to keep an eye on it. It's a pretty strong storm. So if it did make a run closer, much closer than we're expecting, we'd have to definitely pay attention to it. In terms of temperatures, look at that. A lot of low 30s, upper 20s for most of the ski areas. Really good skiing weather. nice and warm. Overnight low is not bad either, in the 20s. So really, definitely much better than it's been temperature-wise for a lot of the winter. In terms of those weekend highlights, a moderate snowstorm will impact our area Friday into Friday night. Snow begins mid to late morning Friday, winds down Friday evening. Heaviest snowfall from Friday falls Friday afternoon, with a possibility of some mixing with sleet, particularly in kind of the Route 7 corridor, and maybe in the along the Connecticut River Valley, would be the places that have the most likelihood of seeing some sleet. I don't think we're going to see a lot of that, though. We look, the rest of the weekend looks quiet with slightly above normal temperatures, and we look cool and dry. We'll cool off a little bit up behind the storm that goes out to sea on Monday. Cool and dry, at least for the first couple of days of next week, and then we'll have to kind of see. Models have continued to try to give us a big warm-up storm, kind of rainstorm, but several of the storms that we've already had that either didn't happen or were mostly snow would have been those big warm-up storms, so it continues to hint at that. But my guess is, until we actually get close and the models are hinting at that, the pattern has been locked in enough where, at least over the northeastern part of the United States, we haven't been able to move that warmer air in yet. However, we did just move it into the central part of the country, and sometimes, it just takes a while to kind of continuously move warmer air towards us, and eventually it kind of breaks the dam and we get into a couple of warmer days. That is possible towards the end of next week, but we'll have to wait and see. I would say it's not likely at this point, but it is possible. Let's take a quick look. I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons. They help support what I do here at the West River Weather Guy. If you're interested in becoming a patron, you can. There's a link to my Patreon page in the description. And patrons get this forecast all the time, this Wednesday forecast, and also get a look at some extended forecasts. They can get my forecast emailed to them. So if you're interested in doing that and supporting the page, I would encourage you to do so. And I thank everybody who subscribes, because that also supports the page. So if you haven't subscribed before, I'd encourage you to do so. It just helps make sure that people find my page on YouTube. All right, thanks, and I will be back Friday morning with an updated look at this forecast